There's a particular kind of pain that comes with feeling like you don't quite exist. You're physically present, but somehow you feel invisible, like people look right through you. You speak, but your words seem to disappear into the air. You show up, but no one seems to notice when you're gone. If this resonates with you, you're not broken, and you're not imagining things. There's a real psychological pattern behind this experience, and understanding it can be the first step toward reclaiming your sense of presence in the world. The feeling of invisibility often begins in childhood, though not always in the dramatic ways we might expect. You might have grown up in a household where the adults were physically present but emotionally absent. Perhaps they were dealing with their own struggles, or maybe they simply didn't know how to see and validate a child's inner world. This doesn't necessarily mean outright neglect or abuse. Sometimes it's subtler. Maybe your emotions we consistently minimize with phrases like, "you're too sensitive," or "that's not a big deal." Perhaps your interests were dismissed, your questions brushed aside, or your need for attention labeled as being too much. When a child's inner experience is repeatedly overlooked, they learn a devastating lesson that their thoughts, feelings, and very essence don't matter enough to be seen. They adapt by making themselves smaller, quieter, less noticeable. It becomes a survival mechanism. The child learns to scan the room for what others need before considering their own needs. They become experts at reading the emotional climate and adjusting accordingly. They develop what psychologists call a false self, a version of themselves designed to be acceptable rather than authentic. This pattern often continues into adulthood in ways that feel mysteriously familiar. Relationships, where you're always the listener, but never the one being heard. You may consistently choose friends who dominate conversations, or partners who seem more invested in their own reflection than in truly seeing you. At work, you might be the reliable one who gets things done, but rarely gets credit. You may find that your ideas are overlooked until someone else voices something similar, and suddenly it's brilliant. You show up consistently, but somehow you remain on the periphery. The cruel irony is that in trying to be acceptable, you've made yourself invisible. The very strategy that helped you survive as a child now keeps you trapped in a pattern of emotional hiding. But here's what's important to understand. Your invisibility isn't a fixed trait. It's a learned response, and learned responses can be unlearned. The first step is recognizing that feeling invisible often comes with its own strange comfort zone. When you don't fully show up, you also don't risk full rejection. When you don't speak your truth, you don't risk having it dismissed. When you don't take up space, you don't risk being told you're too much. This protective invisibility feels safer, but it comes at an enormous cost. You start to lose touch with your own preferences, your own voice, even your own sense of what you want from life. You become so skilled at being what others need that you forget who you actually are underneath all that adaptation. The path back to visibility requires what I call brave authenticity. This doesn't mean becoming loud or demanding attention. It means slowly, carefully, beginning to honor your own inner experience as much as you honor others. It might start with something as simple as stating a preference when someone asks what you want for dinner, instead of automatically saying, "whatever you want is fine." It could mean speaking up when someone interrupts you, or sharing an opinion even when you're not sure how it will be received. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you begin to understand that taking up space isn't selfish, it's necessary. Your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives have value, not because they're perfect or because everyone will agree with them, but because they're yours. This process often involves grieving the childhood where your inner world wasn't consistently seen and validated. Grieving the years you spent making yourself smaller. Grieving the relationships and opportunities that passed by while you were hiding in plain sight. But as you grieve, something beautiful begins to emerge. You start to develop what psychologists call emotional object permanence. The ability to maintain a sense of your own worth and existence even when others aren't actively validating you. You begin to understand that your value doesn't fluctuate based on how much attention you receive or how well others can see you on any given day. You exist fully and completely regardless of whether others are equipped to recognize that existence. This is perhaps the deepest work, learning to see yourself clearly, to validate your own experience, to be present to your own inner world with the same attention you've always given to others. As you do this work, you may notice that some relationships in your life become uncomfortable. The people who are used to you being invisible might resist your emergence. This is natural, though sometimes painful. Some connections will deepen as you bring more of yourself to them. Others may fade, and that's okay too. You're not responsible for maintaining relationships that require you to disappear. You're not obligated to stay small so that others can feel comfortable. Your job isn't to be convenient for everyone else's emotional landscape, center of attention, or to swing to the opposite extreme of demanding constant validation. The goal is balance, the ability to show up authentically in your own life, to occupy your own space with quiet confidence, and to trust that your presence has value. This work takes time, patience, and often professional support. But every small step toward visibility is an act of courage. Every moment you choose authenticity over accommodation, you're rewiring decades of conditioning. Remember, the people who truly matter will welcome your emergence. They'll be grateful to finally meet the real you. And you'll be amazed at how much richer your life becomes when you stop hiding from it. You deserve to exist fully in your own life. Your thoughts matter, your feelings are valid, and your presence is a gift to the world. Not because you've earned it or proven it, but because you're here. If this resonates with you, know that your journey back to visibility is sacred work. Take it one small, brave step at a time.